it all comes down to this, and this is like the core essence of inquiry itself, and the master key to create change. All right, to understand this master key, to have a total like monopoly on your like, to basically like hardcore your like beliefs, what you need to do is this. But before that, you have to understand two very important concepts. One is understanding a quality of something. Now, let's understand this quality. If I ask you, uh, take a pen, take this pen, all right? Now, tell me the quality of this pen.
You would go, oh, it's gray in color. It's kind of rough, kind of plasticky. It is a black sketch pen used for drawing. It's waterproof. Yeah.
However, when I use the word quality, that does not mean this, what I just told. What it actually means is the raw experience that you're getting. When you like touch this pen, you're getting some input. When you feel this, you're getting some input. When you smell it, doesn't smell like anything. But when you if you smell it, you get some input. The raw sensory, the visceral information that you're getting, that is the quality of this pen. The moment you try to describe the quality of this pen, notice using language, it becomes a second order phenomenon. You have the quality of the pen, and then you have the language and stuff describing the quality of the pen. This is first concept you need to understand if you really want to have like a hardcore understanding on how to hardcore yourself and like change beliefs and stuff like that. Understanding the quality of something, right? So now let me give you an example. Let me give you a test. So if I take this and if I did, so what is the quality of the sound? See, that's a very interesting question. You cannot describe it, but you can definitely feel it. You know what the quality of the sound is, but you'll never be able to articulate that to anybody else. So to create change, we need to be in this realm of quality. That is concept number one. Concept number two is understanding assumptions. Now you have the quality of an object, right? And you have any overlays on top of this object. I am calling it assumption. All right. It's not a convention. It's an assumption because it's not real. That's why I'm calling this an assumption. It's not any assumption though. It's an assumption that has the quality of truth. You're following the previous concept, quality. Truth has a quality. Yeah. Whatever that quality is. If I tell you this is a pen, yeah, this is not for you. That's not an assumption. That's a fact. However, I am calling it an assumption. Why? Because the quality of pen is not, this is not a pen. This is the information that I'm getting when I'm like touching, feeling this. The quality, so the assumption here is that this is a pen, it's right, it's an instrument, any sort of information that you're getting from second-hand resources. That I'm calling it as an assumption. This is an amazing concept and it'll blow your mind in just a second. It might sound something as obvious like, what? Why am I talking about assumption? Doesn't make sense. It does, because when I say this is a pen, and you also think, yeah, of course, that's a pen. What's so amazing about it? It has the quality of truth, even though it is not true. And in this illusion lies all the other illusions. There are assumptions that has the quality of truth. I'm going to call that Shimizu. All right. It's a word I just came up with long back. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to use this word to point at something meaningful for me. So a Shimizu is an quality, is an assumption that has a quality of truth. The entire mishap that's happening, it's all because different Shimizus that's happening. All right. We all have like a collection of different Shimizus. All right. And every Shimizu is not actually true, but you believe them to be true, that influences you to act a certain way. However, that's not true. Have you ever noticed that some people just love programming? And if you look at code and stuff, you're like, how could anybody like doing this, right? He has an assumption that he believes to be true that motivates him to act in a way that makes him like coding. You have an Shimizu, yeah, that you don't like coding, or there's something about it is repulsive, which you believe to be true, and that's why you don't like coding. Hmm. Now you have Shimitsus and you have like meta Shimitsus, but forget all that. Let's just talk about Shimitsus. So idea, the entire game here is number one, recognizing the Shimitsus, two, letting go of the Shimitsu for something even real. Now, let me actually show you an actual proper example of this. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to show you something amazing, and you'll be like, it's actually a prank. Probably echoes. Let me think. All right. If if you look at this, here comes the question: why were these people scared? All right, look at this. They're scared. They're scared beyond belief, right? In this moment, here, wait, let me go at the exact timestamp. Right now, there are two moments. There's this moment and there's a moment after this. This moment, everything is normal. Next moment, this woman is super scared. Why is that? Now, here's the reason why. If you thought about it and if you're connecting what I'm saying before and if you're overlaying the concepts, you'll see this. This woman, what was her Shimizu, right? Her Shimizu was assuming that this was a plant. Now, it's not just any assumption. It's an assumption that you believe to be true. She believed that this is a plant. And with that assumption came many more assumptions. Oh, a plant has this properties, it rustles like this, whatever. Has so many other assumptions. This moment, that's a Shimizu, right? That's the assumption she projected onto this thing, which we call plant, of course. But this moment, she sees something that a plant doesn't do. All right. So her Shimizu is broken for something that is more real. And your mind gets confused and it goes into like flight or fight. Yeah. You either run away or you like fight it. Your adrenaline is like pumping. Yeah. Why? Because she had a Shimizu that she believed to be true, and in like an instant, it got shattered. Instant like this. And her entire mind starts like recontextualizing everything. Then it's like goes, oh, it is it's actually a guy, it's a prank, ha 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 ha, whatever. Yeah. This is a very key moment because this same dynamic happens to this relationship that I just highlighted happens to every single thing that you're trying to change, or you're not changing, or you're willing to change. All right. Anything is just this. So the entire game here is identifying, oh, I assume this is a plant. Yeah. But it's actually not a plant. All right. It's actually something else. And when you realize that, not understand, realize it experientially by investigating the quality of something. That's where the concept of quality comes in the process of investigating. Investigated, that is the thing. Sometimes you will know, sometimes it will feel like sometimes you'll know that this is a Shimizu. Sometimes you'll know what, I'm not supposed to be scared of it. But your body will still react. Yeah. Because your body believes the assumption. Even though psychologically you know that this is not an assumption, your body knows that this is an assumption. Now, here's where lies the power. In the book, Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl is like a psychologist trying to like interview Holocaust victims, and he's saying, what was your purpose of survival? And he realized something. There are two things. You have like a stimulus and you have the response. Stimulus is the input, and the response is like the output, your reaction to it, your action. Yeah. And between your stimulus and your action, there is a space. there's a gap, all right, and in that gap you have the power. In this gap you have the power to become conscious of Shimizu and then change it to mean something else. That's it. In this gap, not after your response or not before your response, there's like a sliver of moment that you have to create, all right, because when the stimulus hits, your assumption goes there in split second. So step number one is you have to increase that space, increase that period when the stimulus comes in, but you then become mindful of it. You see, so the concept of mindfulness comes in from Buddhism. What is being mindful? When a stimulus hits, you don't react, but rather you observe. All right, it's like this: you're standing beside a river and watching the river flow, versus you being in the river and swimming. Mindfulness is standing on the bank of the river and then watching the river flow. So when the stimulus hits, you first become mindful of the stimulus and watch it flow. All right. Now the stimulus has its Shimizu, right? Has its set of assumptions. Something you believe to be true and not necessarily true. When you have like a sensation and you believe that sensation to be something. Let me give you an actual example. So I'm like studying right now. So I get something like food craving, right? So I get this sensation in my stomach, below my stomach, somewhere like that. And I get this sensation, all right. And I go, whenever I get this sensation, my mind automatically points and says, oh, you know what? This sensation, it's it's food craving. I don't want any food. I want good tasting food. That's what I call craving. Yeah? I want like pizza. I want like a cake. You know what I mean? I want to like eat cake, something super sweet, something super nice, chocolatey, better. Yeah. However, I know that's bad for my health, papa, whatever. But I really wanted to eat it. Hmm? So now what is the Shimizu here? The Shimizu is there's a sensation that happened below my stomach. I first became mindful of it. The Shimizu here is that sensation is food craving. Now the process of investigation begins. Now is the sensation, the meaning behind the sensation that I believe to be true, that it is food craving. This sensation that is food craving, is that real? All right, let's investigate. So I thought, okay, so I ate something nice. And I was observing that sensation while eating something nice, saying, okay, if this sensation really meant that I was craving like a cake or something like that, if I ate a cake, the sensation should go away, right? So I was eating the cake and I was like watching the sensation. And obviously, it turns out that when I eat cake, the sensation in my mouth, the taste buds kind of like overwhelm that sensation. Like, it's like, imagine it's like a light. If the sensation was a candle flame, the sensation in your mouth is like a sun. Just like you cannot see the candle flame when you put it in front of sun. You cannot see that sensation, or it's kind of like less in power when it compares to like the stimulation that's happening in my mouth. So the sensation never really went away. For a moment, I didn't feel it, but then I had the craving back. I literally ate till here, guys, but I still wanted to eat more. I had no space, but I still wanted to eat more. Why? Because of my Shimizu. What is my Shimizu here? My Shimizu is deluding myself out of ignorance, thinking the sensation is actually food craving when it's actually not. Now, then what is the sensation? You can now the process of real investigation begins, where you investigate the quality of the sensation. All right. If 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 you're investigating the quality of the span, you're touching it, feeling it, seeing it, the raw experience of it, that investigating the quality of that. So you do the same thing with the sensation. You look at the sensation, touch it, feel it with awareness, not with like an observer or anything, just like what is the sensation without any language top of it. Because notice, any language that comes on top of it is a second order phenomenon. It's like a meaning that you're giving to the sensation. You want to know the truth. What is the sensation and why do I feel uncomfortable by it? And down the rabbit hole you go. So it's two concepts. One is understanding how to investigate. So investigate by investigating the quality of something. Two is assumptions that you believe to be true. Assumptions that has a quality of truth. Even though, even though you know that this is not true, you feel like it's true. Sometimes my body is tired and I feel like sleeping. But I know I just slept 10 hours. One time I slept like 12 hours. I woke up, I ate. In 2 hours, I felt like sleeping again. And I thought, wait, what? I slept for literally like 12 hours. Why do I feel like sleeping again for like 3 hours? That is my Shimitsu. There was a sensation in my body which I interpreted to be something interpreted as the meaning I gave to it is, oh, I'm sleepy, I need to sleep. But it's actually not true. Alright. So every action that you want to change. So let's say you want to change something. Now that action has a predecessor of some sensation. Alright. Like a feeling, a thought or something. Where you gave an Shimitsu. This is where the Shimitsu lives, right? You have the action. Before the action, you have the sensation. Now, the sensation has an overlay of a Shimitsu, a meaning that you gave to the sensation. You follow me? A meaning that you gave to the sensation. And if you change this meaning, now this is the Shimitsu is the one that's responsible to that motivates you to act a certain way. Now, if you change this meaning, if you recontextualize this meaning, now you can program yourself to act a different way. And this is where the entire formula of change happens. And this is how you even read a book. So now let's say I take this book. All right, it's a book called Thick Face Black. It's a beautiful book. So how do you actually read book? If you're someone like me and read over like 600 books and saw no change, here's why. Even though you read the book, yeah, you never really changed any of your shimitsus. All right. So if I open like a random page, uh, it says there's a concept here which says you have to like give up. You have to use negativity in a way that makes you productive. So the most negative thing that can happen, what? Procrastination. But you procrastinate your way to productivity. Oh, I was like, wow, interesting concept. Wow, good, good, good. And I kept on reading. But here's where the thing happens. What any self-help book is, if you take any self-help book is a set of the author's shimitsus that made him successful. Now, this is a collection of this author's shimitsus, his assumptions that he believed to be true, and when you operate with his set of assumptions, you will get a kind of success that this author had. You have your set of shimitsus. I have my set of shimitsus, and the entire goal here is to change your like if this is the author shimitsu and this is your shimitsu, is to like change your shimitsu that so that it aligns with the author's shimitsu. Are you following me? And you do that by becoming mindful first, becoming mindful of the sensation, then becoming conscious of what meaning you're giving to the sensation, then realizing that the meaning that you're giving is actually not truth. It's an assumption given by you, your ignorance or whatever. Because childhood, past, whatever psychology like wants to fill it in, doesn't matter now. For some reason, you believe this to be true, and it turns out it's not true. Great. But what this author says, his assumption is more real than your assumption. You see? And when you realize that, not understand, realize, see for yourself when investigating within, then you have change. Change that impacts the DNA of beliefs itself. Yeah, it's like you're changing the DNA of your beliefs. You're looking at the beliefs and then so if I take an assumption from this author, and I'll see and I think, oh, I don't have this assumption. I actually assume something different. I don't. So author has assumption. I have assumption it's something different. Okay, that's all the book can give you. Anyway, you put the book aside, and now here's what you do. You have the author's assumption, and you have your assumption. At this moment, even though you know author's assumption is true and your assumption is false conceptually, hmm, experientially, you feel your assumption is true and author's assumption is false. Our entire goal here is to like flip that. So here the process of investigation begins. Self inquiry, investigation. First, you relax your mind. You create the distance between the stimulus and the response. So an assumption, that's where the change happens, right? So when you notice a stimulus, so when I notice a food craving, I react to it. So when you notice a stimulus, you don't react, you stop. Now your entire body will viscerally crave to react. Yeah. Now, now in this space, you don't react. In this space is where change actually happens. Now you have a shimitsu that your body feels is completely real. And now here, if the sensation is too visceral and you can't think psychologically, this is where you do breathing exercises, meditation, all that comes. But if you are in a little bit quieter state of mind, calmer state of mind, if you're in a calmer state of mind, in this space, right here, between the stimulus and response, your shimitsu, you'll actually see your shimitsu. You'll see the assumption that feels true, even though it's an assumption. You'll see it. Once you see it, you can inquire. You can inquire couple of ways. One is looking at the quality of it and then asking questions. That's the only two ways that I kind of know that's super effective. One is asking good questions. Two is investigating the quality of it. So what your question does, it redirects your awareness to truth. Yeah, you don't have to know the truth conceptually. You have to see the truth experientially. There's a difference between pointing to the moon and looking at the moon for yourself. So pointing at the moon, conceptual. Looking at the moon, experiential. All right. So where was I? So you're trying to like use questions and qualities to redirect your awareness to the truth, whatever that might be. So step number one, you need to have a curiosity. Yeah. Step number two, you ask questions. Now here are a couple of questions, really good questions that you can ask. One, Byron Katie style. Is this true? This assumption that you assume to be real. So assume to be true. Is that actually true? Yeah. When you feel the quality of it, what about the quality is telling you that you should assume this? I love that. So you take the sensation, you feel it. So what about the sensation do you tells you to feel certain things? That. Second question you can ask is, how does this serve me? Yeah. How does it serve me? And you like really try to answer that. It serves me some way. How does it serve me? And if it does serve you in a very myopic way, then you can see, once you look at it for yourself, then you can see, okay, could I let go of that? Am I willing to let go of this? The reward, the pleasure, the juice I'm getting from assuming this, can I let go of that? And now you have your ticket. Now, as you let go of that, you can now reprogram yourself to like the author's assumptions. And that's basically the video. Yeah. I wanted to create a more in-depth video on how to use visualizations and then connecting this concept, basically the entire thing is possible. You are able to do all this. It's all because of the idea of impermanence. Nothing really is permanent. Change is the only constant. Impermanence is the only truth. Since nothing is permanent, any sort of assumptions you have that feels permanent, it's actually not permanent. So everything that feels permanent is actually not permanent. Everything changes. All right. And anytime you think something is permanent, it's not. And every Shimizu feels permanent, even though it's not. And the truth of the matter is, everything is impermanent. And this is the reason why you're even able to do this. You're basically using and abusing this in a way where it kind of serves you in terms of survival and stuff like that. But end of the day, that, and you can actually also, what you do when you're experiencing that in the space between stimulus and response, you can use visualizations. This is where visualizations by psycho-cybernetics or creative visualization books, you can actually study, and you can visualize yourself to act whatever way you act. And as you visualize it, feel it. Feel the visualization, not conceptually, experiential visualization. I think there's a nuanced distinction there. Experiential visualization, then you have change. That's it. That that's what's cooking. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys like the video, hit a like, subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Is it something you resonate with? Did it make sense? Kind of lost me? Let me know. I'll try to make a much more better edited video sometime in the future when the time permits.